beans. Haricot beans, climbing beans such as these ones. Well, I just moved my spade away and it was leaning up against here and it was trying to grow up the handle of the spade. So I thought it was about time we, well, put our canes up. Now, I'm not buying my canes. No. I'm going to, well, cut my own canes. That's what I'm going to do. Anyway, that's what we're going to do in this video. We are going to be putting canes along here for these beans to grow up. But not just put the canes there. We're going to go and harvest our canes. Yes, we're going to harvest our, well, bamboo. Oh, and I forgot something. For me to harvest my bamboo, what I need is my machete. Yes, so I can chop down my bamboo. So we're going to go over to here where the bamboo happens to be. Under the tree we go. Yeah. Besides the water and towards a little pond. And here we are to the bamboo. So I'm going to harvest probably about 20 pieces. I've got a couple of pieces on the floor already. And we're just going to get all machete like. Yeah. But what I do is, before I actually chop them at the bottoms, I remove all the side shoots that I don't want first before I actually chop them off. It seems to make sense to me, and it does. So I might put you a bit, how do you put it? A bit further up or a bit further down? Anyway, what we're going to do, we're going to get all jiggy with our machete. There we are. So I'm going to select a cane that I think is big enough. Here's one here, which is about, well, 20 millimetres at the bottom. And all I'm going to do is, first of all, before I cut the bottom, I'm going to run this machete down the sides of the bamboo, like that. So I don't end up bringing loads of bits I don't want to where I want to use it, which is, you know, where we're going to, well, where our haricot beans are. Then I'm going to go one diagonal swipe. It's not swipe. There's no good trying to go perpendicular with the side of the actual bamboo. You have to go downwards at an angle, like that. That's it. Just like that. Yeah. So you create a bit of a pointy cut on the end. But the reason for that is not just to make it pointy. Is that if you try and hit there, you'll just bounce off. But if you come down the side, you're kind of like slicing through. And as you can see there, that's what I did on that one with my machete. So I'm going to get a few more of those. So I've got, what, 1, 2, I've got 3 ready there. I'm not worrying about the top growth so much. I'll worry about it when I get to actually installing it where it's going to be living. Maybe that one as well. Yeah, let's do that one as well. This one as well then. Okay. Yeah, that's another one. There you go, there goes another one. And if you didn't manage to get all the bits off, just run from the top, slice them from the top like that, like so. Don't do it from the bottom, it's dangerous. You go from the bottom, if you go that way, one thing you could be cutting towards yourself likely, but what happens, you'll ride off like that. But if you're going that way, you'll be trapped. So, just like that. We want to keep our fingers and we want to keep our hands. Very important. Now slice down, not up. And then diagonal cut at the bottom. Just you do that. You'll find you won't have a lot of room. Oh my goodness, there's no room. Here goes another one. Oh, wrong way round. And some of these you might find they're going to be too long. I'll worry about that when I actually get to where I'm actually going to be installing, because one of these might make 2. Now we've used for our support for our climbing beans, not just bamboo, we're using an old trampoline that we've cut about and welded up and made into like an arch, and I just basically use that to support the bamboo. So now I'm going to get a few more. They don't all have to be long ones. Now you don't want your bamboo, I'll explain later as well, but to be too long. Yeah, and the reason for that is, if it's too long, going the wrong way now. If it's too long, what happens is that your beans just keep on growing higher and higher and higher and higher, and you'll be able to reach them. So think about that. Unless you've got some tall steps, then maybe you'll be okay. Okay, so that one. Oh, that one snaps at the top. Let's just cut it off. That's okay. Bring that over there. Now these ones here are a bit on the small side, although that one's already cut. So I'll take that. I'll put that down the end where it ain't got so high. Because obviously, because it's a arch, the ends are lower than the middle, as you'd expect on an arch. And there, there's food down the back here, quite good. This one here, it's only fairly skinny, but it's big enough what we want. Oh, it's a cow. I thought the noise was. I heard a cow. Okay, that was that one. There goes another one. Oh, I do like chopping my bamboo. There's nothing like chopping your own bamboo. No. And then we're going to go back in here, like so. And then we'll go and install them. It won't be all of them at this stage because the video will be too long. And I'm not editing this video. So, we're just going to grab what we can. Get rid of these bits because otherwise they're going to drive you insane. Alright, I think I've got about 10 there at the minute. Get a couple more. See, the other thing about doing this, you see, is a way of managing your bamboo as well at the same time. So you don't end up with the bamboo taking over. So, you know, because it will do that. So, for us, it doesn't really matter too much because we've got plenty of land. And you can always, well, what I did before, I dug a trench down there and dug out all the old root. Because it was encroaching about where the camera is at the minute. Now, the bamboo doesn't have to be just for this year, no. This bamboo we're cutting now, they might be for next year as well. You know, it'll only be installed for this year, and then I'll take it down later on in the year, you know, at the end of the season. But for now, we're going to be using it green, and it'll dry out through the season, and then later on we'll remove it and we'll put it to one side and probably use it again the following year. I've actually got a load of bamboo from last year that we'll probably use again. Anyway, we've got a whole load of bamboo here, which I'll bring you with me in a moment. Turn this around. There we go. So as you can see, we've got all this bamboo here, and what I'm going to do is gather it all together so I can grab it all in one hit and drag it up the garden. At the moment, there's some bits stick near the end, some bits further down. What you'll find, you'll drop half of it before you get to where you need to go. So I'm just line the end up like so, and we'll grab that. I've also got to grab the camera at the same time. Yeah, that's interesting. How the hell am I going to do that? Anyway, here's my machete. Everyone needs a machete. Now this is just a cheap machete. I think it cost like £2 from Tool Station at the time, but I did make it a decent handle because the handles were rubbish. But then, yeah, as far as the machete is concerned, it does its job. Yeah, it's just a thin blade that you can put some weddy behind it and not chop through most things as long as you keep it sharp. And I do. I don't do any fancy sharpening with it. I just put it on a linisher, which is basically like a sander really, and just to put an edge on it. And we're dragging this up the garden here. That we are. Towards where we're going to be installing the bamboo. What I'll do is I'll put you over there, and you can watch from over here. That's what we'll do. And I'll put this down for a minute, but we'll be using it again because I'm going to have to chop the bamboo to length, you see, as we go. So I'm not going to do all of them. I just want about to demonstrate what we do. Obviously, I will be doing all of them, but not in this video because it'll be too long. It's already going to be too long. Yeah, most probably. So, it's quite disconcerting. I'm looking at the camera. I know the camera's level because it's on the gimbal, but the actual, the ground is not. Move this over here. There you go. Strange. Right, so I'll start over there so you can kind of see. There you go. So you can see the arch. And literally what it is, these are from an old trampoline that the wind got hold of, spun upside down and ripped all the cover. So I thought, no, I'll use this tubular framework for my beans. We used it last year, they worked quite well. So what we're going to do is, we're going to grab a cane, biggest ones first, because they're likely to be the longest, so they can go where it's the highest. And so like for instance it's going to go in down here. Alright, as you see it's too long, but I'm going to chop it to length. I don't want it all out there because the beans will grow all the way up there and we won't be able to reach them. No. So what I'm going to do is, shall I put it in first, a little bit in there like that first, and then chop it with a machete. Where did I put it? Oh, there's a machete. This is going to be an interesting way of doing it. Right, like that. Can you see? Can you see? Bring it down a little bit so you can. And I'm just going to slice it off that way. And that bit there, I'll use where it's shorter. Just like that. Oh, it's like magic. And then I'll tie that up onto there like so. But this isn't going to go to waste. No! Why would I have that? Why would I do that? So let's just trim them off. I do like a machete. That I do. And you want to do it relatively early on when you're putting your support in for your beans. Otherwise, what's going to happen is those beans like this one will be looking for something and they'll just start growing around each other and create a mess on the ground. You'll try to untangle it all and you end up breaking them. They'll end up snapping on you. So that one looks like it'll go in there, okay? So I'll put that down there. See a lighter one. Like that. And we can encourage these beans to grow up the canes. That's what we'll do. And I'll just tie the top off. I'll do that one first. And then I've got to do something simple tying them off. I'm not doing anything fancy, you know. Around once so you can lock it off. Do you know what? This is when I need to be taller. That would be so much easier. A lot easier if I was taller. Oh, there we go. Yes. I'm just going to tie it off there like that. And I'm using jute. The reason why I'm using jute is because, you know, if I don't clear it, remove it at the end of the growing season, if I leave it over winter, the jute will be rotten. And then it's really easy to remove the canes. So I just leave it until the, you know, not until the fall, but just after, you know, after the rainy season before I clear everything up. So that's one in. That one's there, that's there. So when beans, when they grow up that pole. Oh, she's got a bit of pole growing, kind of. So that's going to go onto there like so. As well, I go around twice. Lock, and then, but when I go round, what I do is I go round and over itself because it locks it. It locks the string on top of itself. The only thing with these thick steel poles is you obviously use more line. I've got my opener knife there, which is definitely worth having. And if there is a bean nearby, that can go on its own, that can go on that one later. So we'll wait a little bit first. We'll grab another cane. We'll start with all the biggest ones first, because then it provides me with the skinny ones for the ends. So I'm going to put that one probably about there. Oh, ah. There's a lot of growth on the end of that one. See? Oh my god! And they dropped my machete onto my leg. That wouldn't have been very helpful. No, so I'm going to push that in there like so. Just a little bit. And grab my machete that I dropped on the floor. And chop my leg off. And I'm going to mark that and bring it across there. Go one swipe and it's done. Put the machete somewhere you've got to chop your leg off again. And then tie that one off. Same old difference again. Go round on itself twice. Because then it locks itself off because the string is going over the string. Like I say, I'm using jute because it's easy to clear up afterwards, because it will rot eventually. You know, I suppose unless you've actually got it already, but if you're talking about using nylon string or polypropylene string or line, you know, balers, twine and stuff like that, you can get really cheap. The problem with that stuff is, you know, as you cut bits off, maybe it ends up in the soil and it's never going to rot away. You see more microplastics. Not very helpful. There's potato in there again. So okay, that's growing up there. Okay, that's growing there. Got potatoes and that's oregano. So okay, the bit I cut off the end, I'll do the same again. Another short bit like that. Now what you can do, if you want to provide extra support, think of a face. Create a face. Right, look at directional one of some of the branches, such as those ones. But think of a face. Say for instance, not a face as in your face, like the front and the back, like that, and the thing at the back. And any branches that are coming out the sides, like these ones, yeah, leave them. Because then you'll provide some lateral support. See what I mean? You can, and they use those ones as lateral support. You can trim them off as well, but that provides some lateral support. These all leaves, you see, they'll dry and fall off in no time. Yeah. So that one there is quite long still, so I might put that in there. Yeah, there. I'll get rid of that on the top there. Push that in there like so. And then tie that one off the top there. If there are any little skinny bits of, you know, twiggy bits of branch, you know, side shoots, what you like to call them, get rid of them. They'll serve no purpose. But bits like that, you see, and like that bit there, if we get rid of some of this side shoot and hair, the leaves basically, you can tie it to that if you wanted to, and it just gives them somewhere else to go. So we'll tie that top off. Where's my string gone? Where's my jute? I got my jute. There's a jute loose about the hoose. No, that's not what. No, it's not a moose, is it? But don't wait too long when you're doing this. You don't want it all to be a tangled mess. Now, obviously, you plant your bean, climbing beam, your ram, if you're in France, literally tangling itself around everything, because that's what it'll do, and that'll be a nightmare. So let's tie that one off. Hope you can't see my belly. Oh, it's a beautiful day today. It's hot, really hot. I've got a new straw hat. It's only a tenner, it's very cheap. There you go, that one. Get that one there. Get that, don't want that. Don't wait. If you want, you can tie this lateral branch here to that one and just creates more stability. A bit like using, you sort of turn it into a trellis, I suppose, eventually. When you've got enough of them on then, and crossing them over, eventually it'll be like a trellis. And then when it comes to the end of the year, the beauty about doing it this way is everything is biodegradable. It will degrade because it's natural. Whereas if you're using plastics and stuff like that constantly, you know, like plastic grid to as support, or even metal. Yeah, don't do grillage, because that's a nightmare. Because you've got to try and clean it off every year. Whereas this, you see, it's so simple. And if you're growing your stuff, you can always, you know, cut it down into short bits later if they start getting a bit brittle, and use them for your tomatoes and stuff instead, like the following year. You know, so there's stuff you can do. You don't have to be, you know, pedantic about it. Oh, that one's a bit skinny, that one. Get rid of that. That can go, that'll go there. That can go there. That'll be right. So we'll shove it in there into the oregano. Into the ground a little bit, then we'll tie the top off. So you get this, you know, you get the idea, don't you? You know, and like I said, I'm not editing this video, so I do apologise if it's on the longer side. But c'est la vie, just how it is. You know, the thing is, you see, if I provide videos that are not edited, you can't really see that there, can you? I'm too close. But if I provide videos that aren't actually edited, you know, what you see is what you get. And if I mess up, yeah, tell me. Oh no, don't do it that way. Just leave it in the comments, because I do actually read the comments. It's not always that easy to keep up with them, but you know, I do read them. So over like so, coming together. It's coming together. That one's crossing over that way, so I might tie that one into there later. This side shoot. Oh, bring it back down again. Plus, it's getting a bit bright there. Go into there. Right, there you go. That's all right. Yeah, it's good. It's quite hard. It's so bright at the moment. It's to keep the everything not, you know, from overexposing it with the camera. I think that's better. That's better. It's quite tricky. Yeah, getting there. So you want one every, say, 6 to 8 inches, so about 150 to 200 mil apart. Obviously, it depends how far apart you've actually planted your beans in the first place. But you could also create little tripods as well if you want to. Just literally by putting loads of sticks in the corners and then bring them together. And once you've got your little crisscross in the middle, you can then use that to support the next one, next one, next one, next one. You create like a little, yeah, like a little wigwam of canes. So let's do another one. I'll just do one more and then we will leave it at that for the video, that is, just to give you an idea of what we're doing. No, yeah, okay, you might not be able to, or you might not have your own bamboo. No, well then you might be buying your bamboo, or maybe someone will give you some bamboo. It's always worth asking, you know, because a lot of people who have bamboo in their gardens, quite often they will get shot of it. Because they've got too much. There you go. Tie that one up there. Bum, 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 bum. There you are. Now you could create a permanent structure if you wanted to, but I don't like to, because I like to move things about. And so you get a bit of rotation with your crops and stuff, so you're not constantly using the same soil, or if there's disease that are species sort of like, you know, if it's specific for, like a virus or bug specific for a bean, for instance, you don't constantly be planting year after year with this, you end up with the same problems, wouldn't you? So you don't want to do that. You want to move them somewhere else. So you've got to try and move around the garden with your crops. So you've also got to remember also that some crops, such as the nightshade family of crops, such as potatoes, tomatoes, peppers, etc. They're all the family of the deadly nightshade plant, and because of that, you've got to be careful. You don't plant them in the same place. So if I'm not going to plant potatoes this year, I'm going to plant peppers there this year. No, don't do it. You end up with the same problem. Yeah, it'd be silly. Okay, so this one here we're going to put over here. There we are. And it's only a skinny one, this is, so it doesn't want to be very long. Yeah, a very tall one, so we'll put that in down here. We've got a plant, yeah, there's a bean here, down here, that's trying to show you this one here. It's looking for somewhere to go. So now we can encourage that by doing that, and it'll feel it, it'll find its way. It's like, oh, lovely, I've got some support, I'll go that way then. And it'll grow around it. But equally, you still need to tie the top off. Even though it's a skinny one and only short, you still tie them off, because once you get your bean growing up, you've got the weight of the beans and the plant itself. And then you're pulling around in there when you're trying to harvest your beans, and then potentially you're going to pull on them. You could damage the actual bean itself, the plant itself. So watch out, when you're harvesting anything, you need to be a little bit careful that you don't tug against the plant and start pulling the plant out the flipping ground. Been there, done that, I'm not going to do that again. So be a bit ginger when you're actually harvesting. Sometimes it's quite good to have a little pair of secateurs and stuff when you're harvesting beans and stuff. You don't damage anything else. Anyway, that's what I've started doing. Obviously, I'm going to carry on all the way along here. And so then the beans can grow up these canes. And like I say, this is just something I'm bodged up with a bit of welding, what have you, and this old trampoline frame. And it works, you know. I've got a spiked stake down to the ground, and it does its job. So this will be covered eventually in climbing beans, that it will. And the other thing I do is, as the beans are coming up, and I realise, oh, I'm not doing so well, those ones didn't come up over there because of whether it be vermin and stuff like that, you know, little mice or whatever, nicking the beans from the ground, from the soil as you put them in. I just keep some back, I hold some back and keep plant them as I go along, and eventually you'll have a nice wall of beans. That's what I like. French beans. Obviously the same applies if you're doing runner beans and stuff like that, as it does. Anyway, well, yeah, please boot the old like button, and maybe the subscribe, and maybe even the bell notification icon, you know, because then you'll get one fuzzy pin in your pocket every time I upload another video, and I hope you'll be excited about that. Well, it's time for me to go. Maybe see what Mrs. is doing over here, you know. Yeah. How are you getting on down there, my darling? It's looking better. You see, the problem is, we kind of left the garden to go a bit array. And now we've left with a hell of a lot of mess. Oh, she's getting there. Yeah, because we ain't got all these raspberries, you see. They're all coming. So anyway, you couldn't see them. No, it's a bit hard to pick them.
Yeah.
There's raspberries down there. Our first raspberries, you see. There they are. There's little raspberries growing. Can't be bad. Yeah. Look at the size of that. Well, it's time for me to go. And I'm going to say ta-ta, you know. You can say ta-ta, darling, or are you going to go over a while? What are you going to say?
Oh, we're going.
Yeah. Ta-ta.